Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Teesha, and today's video I have been talking about doing for quite some time. Today we're going to go through some candles tips and tricks. We're going to debunk a few things I found on the internet, and then I'm going to share a couple of hacks with you that I've found. Now, disclaimer, none of these are my own. I did not create any of these. I've seen them from friends here. I've seen them on TikTok, and I don't know who the credit belongs to. I'm just telling you the credit is not mine. I'm just sharing with you. I've been asked in the comments a couple times, and this is like a compilation of different things we've heard. Does it work? Does it not work? So here we go. Let's talk about the first thing, trimming your wicks. Do you really need to? In my opinion, yes. Do I every time? No, I will be the first to say, I, Teesha, have been lazy and left my candle wicks going. Now, what happens if you leave a candle wick too long? So I'm going to show you this one. This is definitely by no means the worst, but as you extinguish a candle, the tops of those wicks can kind of mushroom. Now, if you go in and light those wicks with those mushrooms, I'm not really sure. It has something to do with the cotton wick and the way that kind of, the way that the wick mushrooms like that is to help the candle burn evenly. So they mushroom, and then when you go to light those, they pop. That pop can travel outside of your candle and can leave, a little stain on your stand, or even worse, catch fire somewhere. That would be the worst case scenario. So even though it may seem silly, and like I said, I've told you guys, when my candles get down further, if I don't have something handy to cut them with, I've been known to let them go. That's also more of the blame than the candle for any of that like black murkiness in your candle, making the wax color change. Those mushrooms will fall off and fall into your candle. So I'm sure we've all seen those things. We've all had our moments where we're just like, meh, let it go. But again, it is a safety hazard. So you're supposed to keep your wicks about 1/4 inch above. So these are quite tall. I did grab this one specifically for the thinness as well. So the trick that I have is to use some older, or I use these separately. This used to be like my son's little baby toenail clippers. I've sanitized them. Toenail clippers work even better than scissors do to trim your wicks, because as scissors are, bigger pairs, they go cutting at a slant. These can give you a nice even cut, which is really important for your wicks. So I wanted to show you guys here. So as you can see, I have those wicks here, and I'm just gonna go right above it. And I let that mushroom fall inside, and then I cut just like that. So I let that mushroom fall like kind of inside, and then I just above and cut like that. And again, you can use scissors, and I have a wick trimmer on the way. So that kind of gives you your 1/4 inch wick, and that way when you go to light this candle up, you're not going to have any of that popping, and it's going to keep your candle clean. See how clean that candle looks? It'll stay that clean if I continue to trim the wicks. I took some notes here because I wanted to give you as much information as I could. Yeah, so the wick trimmer I have on the way. It says it's going to be here in like 3 weeks, so I think I ordered it from somewhere far away. That's all I can tell you. But I had never tried one before. I tried scissors, but sometimes I'm finding that this toenail clipper, and again, you can use adult toenail clippers. I just use these because obviously no one in my little house has little tiny nails like this anymore. Because it gives you that nice even cut. You see how it's nice and even? So I just cut, and super easy. I haven't found any wicks that this won't work with, especially since they're already burnt to the point you're cutting them. But this works on new wicks too, just some of those thicker ones. Let me see here. Like these are nice and thin. I could definitely use, I've used these toenail clippers for cutting wicks, but obviously, you can get, I should have just went looking. I think you could even get them at Walmart, like a nice set for your candles. So we're going to talk about some of those other things that you would use as well in this video. So that is trimming your wicks and why, and all the things. It gives you a nice even burn of your candle. If you do keep like one longer than the other, obviously the amount of space between the top of the burn and the candle wax is going to deter how your candle pools and everything like that. So really important, and that is how I trim my wicks currently. I've used scissors as well, but I feel like this little hack works a lot better. Tip, I'm saying, not necessarily a hack. So I always wait for my candle to completely cure again, or harden, because if I drop that wax, that black part, into like what still liquefied wax. I can't get it out, and then it's kind of a part of the candle, and so I just blow it out, let it completely go back to being hardened state or cured, and then I cut my wicks for the next light. So that is also my last tip there with that. So let's move on to tip number 2. So let's talk about tunneling. So I'm going to be inserting some video here because I was trying so hard. I've had some really good behaving candles lately. So I kind of had to make my own. So this is what we're going to be showing you here. So in this video, I showed you a candle that had a ton of the tunneling. So it's where, as you're burning the candle wicks, it's burning closer to the candle wicks, it's burning warmer than on the outside of the candle. So that can be for many reasons. Too small of wicks. We see that a lot of time in our single wick candles, or in the 3 wicks, they could be way too close together, so they're not getting to the outside of the candle. That's why you really, when you get a 3 wick, it almost always guarantees an even burn because it has the disbursement of the heat. So, you know, in the single wick, it's just that little part in the middle of the candle. So a lot of times we see tunneling with that. However, friends, all of my sweet cinnamon pumpkins I've been burning, not doing any of that tunneling at all. So yeah, I'm like, well, I guess I can't be mad that a candle is behaving, right? So let's jump into what you can do if your candle's tunneling. This is something I've done. I didn't do for this video, and I'll tell you it's because I'm lazy and I had stuff, you know, I just store some stuff in my stove. But if you have like several, like 2 or 3 candles that are doing that tunneling, you can put them on a baking sheet. Little side note, I used to call it a cookie sheet because I thought it was for baking cookies, and it's actually called a cooking sheet. Did you guys know that? I don't know. So on a baking or cooking sheet, you can put them at 175. You wait for it to warm up to 175. It shouldn't take long at all, for 5 minutes. And then you should have even wax pool distribution through your candles. However, a lot of us know about the aluminum foil trick. So I'm inserting a video here of 2 different candles. The first one is where I had to use a tunnel completely all the way around the candle. And for some reason, the aluminum foil I bought, which is the good stuff, wasn't reaching all the way around. So you'll see in the video, I have just like a little hairband, which is another little tip, around the base, because you want to really be careful about the tunnel itself. It gets very hot. It's essentially, aluminum foil is bringing more heat to that area. But as you can see in the video here, I think it took less than 20 minutes for the whole candle to pull out with this tunnel. So this is a tunnel I would use, and it kind of just looks like that with the hair tie. If, like I said, it doesn't reach at the bottom of the 3 wick, if I have a lot of issues with tunneling. If it's a single wick, I would use something more like this. So I don't do a full-on aluminum foil. I would just do a little bit around the top. And then in the second candle here, I have to show you, there was just one side of the candle. I only put the aluminum foil where it needs to pool so that it can catch up. So as you can see from the video, it took just a few minutes for that aluminum foil to bring heat to that certain area of the candle, and then it was evenly pooling with the rest of the candle. So some tips for this part of candle burning is that you really watch how many hours you burn your candle. So candles have like a memory similar to a muscle. So if you give your candles at least a 3-hour burn when you initially burn them, it remembers how it's burning throughout the rest of the candle. I've made this mistake myself. So if I go and I'm like, oh, it's been like an hour and a half, I blow it out, I go to light it back up, that candle always seems to have a little bit of trouble, like just keeping up with each side, all of that. Even if I'm trimming my wicks, even if it's, you know, the rest of the time I'm burning it. So with that memory, that's what this kind of does, is it replaces that memory and it gives it like a new chance. So it gets it a little bit hotter. So then as it's cooling back down, it's going to remember that it had burnt evenly, if that makes any sense. So really do think the tunneling trick works. And I do remember the first person I ever saw do this was our friend Cynthia here. But I've seen it on, you know, lots of blogs and different other people that share videos. So she's who I'm going to give credit to, because that's the first person I tried it after. So thank you to her. But also, like I said, so that burn time is super, super critical for especially the first burn. You got to give it 2 or 3 hours. And if you go over 4, if you're noticing that your candles are And I see it all the time. I see people have, you know, almost the whole candle liquefied. I promise you, if that candle is losing its scent, it's because it's burning off the fragrance oil. After about 4 hours or so, I've noticed that when I do that with certain candles, the bottom of the candle doesn't perform as well. So it's kind of like too hot and it's burning off. So candles do have those tips on the bottom of the candle for a reason. These are all here as well. And so just keep that in mind. Like if you're just getting really tired of a certain brand, are you kind of monitoring that type of stuff? Because you don't have to, but it's to give your candle the best performance. So 2 to 3 hours the first burn to give it that candle memory for burn. And then if you're going over 4 hours and you're noticing your candles are losing all of its smell, or scent, sorry, that is maybe why. So give it a try to just maybe set yourself a phone timer just to see, oh yeah, I burned my candle for 6 hours or whatever. Well, that might be why it's losing all of its scent. Let's see if I have any other tips here. So yeah, I like I showed you the, you know, Miss Cynthia there showed us the tunnel. I always just use the piece on the side that's having the trouble burning because I want it to burn as evenly. So I don't use a full tunnel if it's a candle that's burning and just having one side trouble, you know, like I showed you in that video there. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, so wick drowning, I couldn't show you. I really couldn't show you. So I'm going to simulate it with this candle because all of my candles have been doing really well. And like right before I started making this video, I totally had a ton of candles I could have used this on, but that's how it works. So I'm just going to show you what I use. If this happens a lot with single wicks, that's why I chose a single wick, but it does happen with 3 wicks too. So if you have a candle, and maybe I'll insert a picture here, where the wicks just can't keep up with the wax. And so it really looks like there's just barely any flame. Even if you cut it too short, if the wax and the wick ratio are made for the candle, then you should be able to get through that candle without having this problem. But sometimes in my single wicks, I'll notice that when I trim it the first time, it never gets back up to burning. And so it's just kind of almost more like a really low bulb wax warmer where you're not really seeing a lot of action. So what I've done is I'll grab a Walmart bag, which we're simulating with our little tin foil here, and some cotton balls. So I have cotton balls here. I will make them a little bit bigger so they're, you know, not just going to soak up in one small area. So maybe like that. And then I take tweezers because I don't want to touch anything. And I dip this cotton ball into the wax. So I will blow out my candle. I'll take my cotton ball over here and I'll seep up wax. So it will just seep up into the cotton ball and then that's going to get disposed. So then I will grab a couple more. I will flatten it out and that way I'm going to actually be, you know, wasting a little bit of wax. That gives my wick a little bit. So I just seep in this wax until I see that my wick has enough room for another light. I'm going to let it completely cure again, or, you know, let the wax harden. I'm going to make sure that when I trim that I can, you know, give it a little bit more room. Again, some wicks are just going to be like that. So if it was happening on this candle, I'd probably only just cut off the mushroom top to give it a little bit more room for flame. So that is essentially what the cotton ball or cotton balling is. You can use other tools. I use tweezers because I don't have any fancy candle tools. And then I just toss that wax. And so here's the thing. Of course, you could just go pour it out. But when you pour wax, then you've, you know, got wax everywhere that you probably don't want wax to be. So that's why we, the candle ball, the cotton ball candle technique works so well because you're just leaving the wax where it's supposed to be. You're not tipping or moving that, you know, wet wax. So you're just taking out just enough so that you give your candle a little bit more room to breathe. So that is that trick. And then, so here's some of the ones I did try, and I'm just going to be inserting videos now. So let's talk about first adding salt to a candle. So are there tips and tricks to making candles last longer, no matter what the brand, what the size, what have you? Well, I went looking because I've heard a few people mentioning these things. So I tried a few of them, and I will tell you that I will just tell you how they go as we go here. So a lot of things we're not in control of. You know, sometimes it's the fragrance, sometimes it's the color of wax, sometimes it's the wick size. You'll get a candle and it's just like a done. It's not burning and it's going so slow. And then you know, you can always stick it on a wax warmer. Those kinds of candles, you're not looking to you're just wanting to make it work, right? Or you can of course exchange it. But sometimes we have candles that burn so quick. So here's a couple of tips that I found that the internet said would work. I didn't find it in my specific try, but we'll see what you guys think. So adding salt to a freshly burned candle, as it mixes in, it's just a palm-sized amount, and then use a toothpick to mix it in. So here I'm showing you the voltives that I used. I used 3 voltives. I put salt in 2, a light color and a dark colored wax, and then I left one of the dark colored wax without any salt in it. I burnt them for about 25-30 minutes together on that same little tray. Let them, I blew them out, and I immediately put in the salt, and I mixed it in because that's what it says to do on the website. And then let the wax harden, and then I relit. My experience was the lighter colored candle kind of went into more of like a wax warmer situation. I could not get the candle to light back up. And so it literally just was hot enough to melt through, but it didn't seem to melt down. There was like almost 0 wax missing. The other 2 burnt almost identically the same. So for me, and again, I put a palm-sized amount in both of these voltives. I was not seeing how salt was slowing down the burn of that particular candle. So that one I would have to say is debunked. No, just kidding. And then the other little thing I tried to do to slow down the burn of a candle is I placed 2 single wicks, one on the counter and one in the freezer for 2 hours. As well as I placed a 3 wick that was already burning fast in the freezer for the same 2 hours. And then I put them, and here's a little video of the single wicks next to each other. I put them on burn. I took them out of the freezer, immediately lit them up, and I could not tell a difference. I checked at the 1 hour mark, the 2 hour mark, and the 3 hour mark, and they were identically. The burn was, barely pooled. It was not going fast at all, but like that was the room temperature as well as the freezer. So they weren't quick burning candles, but the freezer didn't slow anything down. It was the same as if it was just left on the counter. The same was true about the 3 wick candle. It was a fast burning candle, and within a couple of minutes, it seemed like it was already back up to being a fast burning candle. So for me, adding salt and putting a candle in the freezer did not lengthen the life of the candle or make it burn any slower. So that is going to be a no for me, but I thought I would still share my results. Okay, friends, tip number 5 is to put candles out with a snuffer or a wick dipper. So I've been guilty of using the lid for most of the time. I mean, once in a while I'll have one of those little wick dippers or something. Or if I'm using candles at someone else's house, I'm always trying that. I do like how they work, but I never really had purchased a decent set for myself. So I did that a few weeks ago. And I've been waiting on that set so I could do this video for weeks. I think I might have ordered it from, somewhere over there, and it's just not here yet. So when I get that, of course, I'll update you guys in like a favorites or fails or something like that on how it's working. But I basically just decided to take a pair of tweezers and designate these as my candle tweezers. I never really get all pointy with my eyebrows anyway. So, yeah. So when you use the lid to extinguish your candle, you are trapping the smoke in there as well as extinguishing the flame. So as over time, especially with a lighter, scented candle, we can kind of get that chemically burnt smell, overly smoky smell. I always like to smell my candles as I'm talking about them. And we don't like that. So I do suggest you can use a pair of tweezers if you don't have a fancy, get yourself a fancy set. They're not that expensive. But you can take the tip of the wick and just dip it gently into the wax that will extinguish the flame. You're going to have very little sitting, and then you can put the candle lid back on. I really do recommend this one because like the other ones are for candles that need help, but this will just be for everyday candle use. It will make your candles smell better over time, and so it really was one I had to recommend. Okay, so now on to some fun. So I have 2 things here to share with you. So first is, if you guys use the card fragrance from Bath & Body, I have got to show you this. I want to say I saw this from Tina Marie, to be honest with you. So that, it was a while ago, but I've been using it ever since, and I figured it just kind of belonged in a video like this. So if you guys get these little car fragrances and you just don't think they smell your car up very much, some people use multiple. I, however, have been doing something new. So I take my little, I don't have one because they're in the cars. I only have the two that we have, one for each car. I don't really collect these. I do collect the refills, but not the little things. So, but you take a cotton round like this. I have not tried it on anything besides a cotton round, so I have to recommend the cotton round. And you just poke a hole, and you can save these. You can wrap in a paper towel, put it in a plastic bag. You poke a hole underneath where the name is, so that side's a little bit, that's where the sun is supposed to warm it up. But again, if the flannel is very strong, so I can smell this for a week or so, but like Beautiful Day is not. I can smell this for about a day or so, or like a really hot moment, but not like throughout time. So as these little fragrance oils are burning out, I just never get like a really great experience. So this is what I do. So I'll take flannel and I'll poke a hole in the top. And then I just take a cotton round like I would on nail polish remover, and I tip it over and I shake it like this. And I actually will use one or two in a car depending on how strong. Like a flannel, I'd use one, but on a very, you know, a lighter scent, I use 2 cotton rounds. And I get as much as I want that I feel like it's not like soaking through on my fingers. And then I just place that like this, and I just kind of squish them together so I can see that there's fragrance oil on both sides. But it's not like, if I lift it up, it's not leaking anything. So like I said, 2 for a lighter scent, 1 for a stronger scent. And then I just stick this into the scent portable in my car. And I'm telling you guys, I can smell these for a lot longer. You can't really tell it's this instead of the little refill. And then all I do is I stick this in a paper towel and I stick it on a shelf in a plastic bag so I can continue using this. I will say I almost get a full month out of just the cotton rounds, which is what these are. But after about like 2 to 3 weeks, I'll just go get the same cotton rounds and I'll just shake it and put a little bit more on there. So I might be a little bit more work, but I'm enjoying this scent a lot more. So I really wanted to share that with you guys because it was one of those tips that I was like, this works really well. And then for the final one, this is our Tic Tac hack. And I'm sure you guys can already know what it is, but this is the Airwick Essential Mist using one of our wall plugs from Bath & Body in here. So you can get this, like I found it at Dollar General, but you can find these almost anywhere. And it comes with, it says 1 refill lasts up to 45 days. It comes with its own scent. So I had picked Mandarin and Sweet Tangerine, which I will use. But I wanted to see if our Bath & Body Works wall plugs really fit in here. So it comes with your gadget, 1 of the scents, and 3 batteries to run it. You need 3 AA batteries to get it started. So what I've done is I've already taken everything off and I put the batteries in here. So before I put the scent in, I want to show you guys the back. So what this does is for 8 hours on a regular stream, depending on what intensity you want, it mists. So you don't want to put this in a small ventilated area where you keep small pets, where you have children that sleep, because it does let a mist out of the top, but it really throws in your room. So let's test this out. So again, you've got your stop and start. When it's on, when it's got the black dot on is when you'll see this blue light, and then it's ready to mist. And if I have it on 1 or 2 dot intensity is depending on how much it's going to give me. So let's stick our scent in here. I picked Marshmallow Fireside. I've had this one ready to go, and I'm just going to go stick this in the living room. So you have on this side a little hole where you're going to stick the wick, which is what we're used to doing. And then you're going to wait till you hear a snap. Okay, hold on. I'm never good at this stuff. First try. There we go. So I heard my snap. Oh, there goes a battery. We need the battery. Didn't lose the wall plug. So the wall plug's going to sit in there like that. And they are a little bit different shapes, so it's going to sit out, but this is big enough to sit around it. So that's not going to matter. So then, wait, no. There we go. You're going to hear the little click like that. And now I'm going to turn it on. And we see the blue light. Let's see. And there's the mist. And I don't want to inhale it too much. But look at all that Marshmallow Fireside it puts out. And it's so good. And so this is really cool. I saw this on TikTok. I've seen a few of our friends here do it. Our friend Liz did it recently, but I had already kind of planned this video. But credit to her. I did see her do it and it did work on her video too. But yeah, so basically depending on how much intensity you give it on the back here, for 8 hours a day, it's going to release mist on a continuous schedule. Then it shuts off. So you're still going to be able to, and I'll have to report back to you, you're still going to be able to smell this for up to 45 days. So that's a pretty good amount for a wall plug. I mean, I usually get about a month to 5 weeks. So I thought that was so cool and just a new way to enjoy those, and you get to control it. I mean, you can turn it off if you don't want the scent going. And so I just thought that was so cool. So I had to share that. And of course I'm going to use the scent that they sent, but I wanted to see if our wall plugs fit in there. So yeah, friends, that is it for my candle tips and tricks and a couple of hacks video. I hope I didn't miss anything. This was kind of a lot to put together. And of course, all my candles were behaving, so I didn't actually need to fix anything. But yeah, let me know down below. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So if I did miss anything, just let me know down below and I'll start working on a candles tricks and tips part 2. But I thought that was a really cool way to end the video. So that one is working, and so does the little cotton round scent portable. So anyways, yeah, let me know how I did down below, and I will talk to you guys in the video very soon. Take care. Bye.